Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers play the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Another early game. I'm so sick of these early games, bro. Why do we have so many early games to start the season? It's driving me nuts, honestly. I hate them all. But nevertheless, that's what's going on. The Lakers are coming off a stumble win against the Utah Jazz, where the Jazz basically refused to win. You know, the coach called a timeout down the stretch of the basketball game in the last second as Colin Sexton was going up for a layup after waving Colin Sexton to just go, 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 as opposed to call a timeout when Colin Sexton got into his action for the game. What do they call a timeout? Effectively resetting our defense and allowing for us to zero in on what they were doing in the final second. So we blocked it and we won the game. Braun was 0 for 9 from behind the arc. And we talked a lot about the frustration there. He did only have 3 turnovers, which is a really improvement for us there over the last several games. He had been turning the ball over 5 times. So that was cool. 14 assists, we like that. But the shooting in the fourth quarter really ate away a lot of the positive production there. And if it weren't for him making a left-handed lay that gave us the lead, we definitely would have lost the game. So you can give him credit for winning the game. You can also give him credit for making this close as it was. Like I said, I don't think we win that game unless Utah just absolutely doesn't get in their own way. So, you know, that's a game we will take the win, but we definitely understand there was a lot to look at and be unhappy with in regards to our own production. But we did see some guys play well. Jalen Hood-Schifino had a few minutes. We liked that. Max Christie had a solid game. Gabe Vincent looked really good out there. Anthony Davis had 33 points. So, getting him back into the 30 range was really important for us. And hopefully we can carry that into Minnesota tonight, where the defense is going to be a bit better, I'd imagine, with Rudy Gobert on the floor and, of course, Jaden McDaniels and so on and so forth. So, the Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that's lost 4 out of their last 5 games. They did win the last one against the Clippers, tournament game situation where the Clippers let time expire down by 1, which is crazy when you consider what that actually means. All you got to do is foul somebody, send them to the line. It's a 1-possession game, and they just did not foul. Let time expire. It was the weirdest way to end a game I'd ever seen. Well, no, not really, because the one I just described was pretty damn weird. But nevertheless, it's just a tale of 2 teams getting victories where other teams just refuse to do right down the stretch of the game. We're both coming off of circumstances where the other team literally gave us the win, basically. Is what we're calling it. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, outside of that, did not play very well. They only scored it was 93-92. Both teams did not play well. The Clippers are a very good defensive team this year. It's one of the best kept secrets in the NBA is that they're like top 5 defense. So it's not weird that the scoring was low against the Clippers this season. But Minnesota, to me, has shrunk their bench to 7 players when they have the best bench in the league. I don't agree with it at all. As I look at the stats throughout the course of this losing, that's kind of what's happened. You got so many nice young players that could provide so much energy sitting on the back of the bench for Coach Finch. I don't get it. They're sitting. You're getting DMPs for some of the best players sitting on any benches anywhere in the league. Like, literally. I think they have the best bench in the Western Conference. I think they may. And the sad thing about it is their coach just doesn't use any of these people. And when he does use them, they're very productive for him, but he just doesn't use them. So it's an eyesore of the highest order. This is a problem I had with them when we first played the Minnesota Timberwolves. I thought they were leaving a lot of meat on the bone as pertains to energy. We played them in the first game of the season and just ran past them with just simply more energy. And they got nothing but energetic young players who were uber talented sitting, just not getting any minutes. So that's what I think catered to us getting the first draw of blood in this season series. This is the second game, of course. We're in Minnesota tonight, and I look at the 4 losses Minnesota took on leading up to that Clipper game that they probably should have had as a 5th loss in a row. They're just not playing the best players they can play. I mean, I don't know what else to tell people, honestly. When you look at their past history, it dates back 5 games ago against the Toronto Raptors, where they lost in Toronto, for which they hadn't won any game since Latrell Sprewell played for their team back in 2004. They don't win in Toronto ever. That's another one of those stats. I was like, what the hell? They ain't won in Toronto in 20 years. So, yeah, they obviously lost that basketball game. It was a close one, but Scotty Barnes and RJ and those guys just ran enough good stuff down the stretch to win the game. They gave Dillingham a few minutes there. He shined a little bit. And they went into Houston, or rather Houston came to them, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how that went. With their bright green floor, which is just blinding. The type of tournament floor that they gave the Timberwolves is like, what the hell? Like, literally, type of stuff when you're watching it. But against the Rockets, you just saw the uber athleticism and the overall depth of the Rockets and their overall defensive talent. Just kind of stifled the Timberwolves in a very close game. It was good. It was good to see the Rockets because I hadn't seen much of them this year. But if you look at their statistics, they're a very good team. So this gave me a chance to look at them, and they're really good. So yeah, that's a side note. But again, you see, I think if I'm not mistaken, this is a game where I don't remember if it was this game or the one that I'm about to mention against the Kings where Dillingham played well. And, look in the comment section of the video I watched and someone said, yo, this guy should probably be starting. And, it's one of those situations where you start getting closer to where we're at now and you see in Dillingham's minutes just dwindle. I think it was against the Sacramento Kings. He might have had his best game. Might have been Kings or Rockets, but it was one game where he was like 6 of 10. The kid was just balling out, making all types of plays down the stretch. Sure, he had some issues defensively, but like offensively, he's a shot maker of the highest order, super talented. And they lost the Rockets game, they lost the Sacramento game, and I'm looking at their box score, and he's only using the same 7 people over and over again. Luka Garza, who's in fantastic shape, is sitting. Josh Minott, who's clearly shown he's ready to break out in the preseason, is sitting. Terrence Shannon, one of the best young rookies in this draft, is sitting. Rob Dillingham, sitting. And I'm just sitting here like, that's why their team is 9-10 at this point, ladies and gentlemen, because he's not using their bench at all. He's not using the players that could really help him. He's just leaning on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, obviously Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, DiVincenzo, and McDaniels. Those are the only players he's willing to play. It's like if they don't hurry up and figure that out, their season is going to be lost. Because that's where the meat and potatoes of their talent is. That's what made it so that you can make a trade that moves Karl Towns and still have the production is in their bench. So they lost the Sacramento game. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk just ran away with it at the end. Malik Monk was acting absolutely we should have kept Malik Monk at all costs. Clearly we see that now. Probably one of the most talented shot makers to ever play a role position, not be a star. He's unbelievable, man. He's only getting better. And he looked great in that game. After being out for 6 games, he came back and just stepped right back on the court. Super talented scorer. And De'Aaron Fox is having an incredible season as well. So they ran past them dudes. Didn't put no energy players on the floor. Still running around with the same old struggling guys. And they struggle some more. I mean, so what's going on? They played the Boston Celtics somewhere in between that. I think before the Rockets game, I think they had a game against the Celtics. Played a really close game against the Celtics. And it just didn't fare well for them because, of course, the shot making of Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, of course, Jaylen Brown. I mean, it's, not too many people are beating the Celtics this year at all. It just is what it is. But I thought they played a really good game against the Celtics. And then it ends off with this Clipper fiasco where they actually got the win but probably didn't deserve to win. I literally hate what Chris Finch is doing. That's really what it comes down to. I hate it. I loathe it. And I think it's directly catering to why they're not any good this year. And so I don't know if you fire a coach that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, even though he was kind of calling things from the sidelines because of a knee injury that kind of made it so that he had to defer to his assistant coach. I think that assistant coach probably should be running things right now. I really do. He probably should be relieved of duties. He's awful. I'm just being honest. He's awful. So that's what I see there. A Minnesota Timberwolves team that's going to dumb themselves down quite a bit against us tonight, I'd expect. You know who you're going to see because I just named all 7 of the players he's going to use. And you're going to live and die with whatever they, do. Whatever they do is what they're going to live and die with. And it's just like, it's wonderful if you're an opponent. And so that's exactly who we are tonight, their opponent. And we need this win. The way that we've been playing these last couple games, I would not be surprised if we don't win. I don't think we played well enough to beat the Timberwolves last night. But we could be getting some guys back tonight, which is encouraging. D'Angelo Russell, game time decision. Austin Reeves, game time decision. Cam Reddish, game time decision. We missed those guys in the last one, so that's that's also part of why we weren't that great last night. But hopefully some of those guys will be able to play. I don't know about Austin. I'd imagine if anybody's gonna miss a game, it'd probably be him after that horrible fall he had in the last game, in the game before last, and he tried to play through it, but it wasn't very good. And I guess he woke up with a really sore pelvis from that fall. So luckily it wasn't worse than that. But if he wasn't ready last night, I'm pretty certain he shouldn't be considered ready tonight. So I doubt we see him. I don't know exactly what illness D'Lo's dealing with, but maybe he goes. And Cam Reddish, I think the Lakers may have actually schemed some of those guys as a DMP secretly, so that we could kind of showcase Jalen and some of those other guys in a tank against a tanking team. I think they thought this was the best opportunity to kind of give those guys some minutes and just kind of see how we look without some people that we normally have. So I think that's kind of what happened there. But I have no way of knowing. Whatever the case may be, I don't think you can get away with that tonight against Conley, against Anthony Edwards and Nikhil and DiVincenzo, and if they decide to play Rob as well, Rob. I don't think that their backcourt will allow you to run Jalen Hood-Schifino and Gabe Vincent and have any success. I really don't. They're just a little too good for that. So we're gonna need some of those guys to come back, in my opinion. I like how the Lakers took care of the basketball last night, even though the Utah Jazz are a terrible defensive team. So I'm not really sure how much of that was us or them. But we only had 5 turnovers, 3 for Bron. So, that's really good from all of our guys. And I think, that might have catered to that might have been a result of some of the guys that we had on the floor versus who was not there. The turnovers, you have different personnel handling the basketball. And it worked out, so for whatever that's worth. But tonight we have much more talented perimeter defensive players to go up against. And McDaniels and Nikhil, those guys are going to play D. Conley can play some defense. So, yeah, they've been struggling defensively. I'm not going to lie. The insertion of Julius Randle and the removal of Karl Towns has kind of catered to them not being as good a defensive team, to be honest with you. Karl's just more likely to get deflections and block shots than Julius is. And it shows, man. They've had some real breakdowns defensively, uncharacteristic breakdowns for their team, and I think that catered to a lot of the losing. I really do. Their defense hasn't been that great. So hopefully we can take advantage of that with Anthony Davis tonight, who kind of got back into his 30-point scoring race, which is what we need him to do. And hopefully LeBron James can hit a 3 tonight. And if he can't, hopefully he scales back and tries to hit the mid-range. Because the mid has been falling for him. He hit some mid-range shots down the stretch of last night's game. The threat of the 3-point shot is always valuable to our team. But if it's not falling, it ain't falling, man. That's it. It almost cost us the game last night overshooting it. And I think it will definitely cost you the game tonight if you do that again against this particular team. Anthony Edwards, one of the best players in basketball, only getting better, one of the most athletic players in basketball. He improvises well, he hits tough shots, and this is a good team. They're not showcasing themselves as good as I know they can be, but they're a very good team. And at any given moment, if Coach Finch gets out the way, they can put some talent on the floor that's just going to be better than your second and third units. A lot better. And that's just what it is. But I don't expect that they'll do that tonight. I think they will live and die with the 7 that they use, and that's going to be that. DiVincenzo, a big-time shot maker, somebody who can also get in the passing lanes, underrated athletic guy. DiVincenzo's a big-time guy, man. I think he's trying to play up his trade value so he can move on from Minnesota. He doesn't necessarily like coming off the bench. I don't blame him, especially in this unit, where bench players don't play at all. And, I think he's a real piece that could potentially end up on the move very soon, maybe even to our Los Angeles Lakers. I would love to do a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves because all of that stuff on the back of their bench has yet to raise its trade value. So if I can give them a first and they give me Josh Minott and give me Terrence Shannon and give me Rob Dillon, you know what I mean? Obviously, they ain't going to give me Dilly. But, this is the type of trade that I would like to see us make. Luka Garza would be unbelievable for the Lakers right now. I would love to bring in Luka Garza. I know exactly what he can do right now, and I know exactly what shape he's in, being sitting for no damn reason. He's definitely a player to go get. So Minnesota has a bunch of stuff on the back of their bench that people need to be targeting, and while we're looking at certain specific pieces that are maybe a bit more expensive, I think if you look and turn your attention to Minnesota, you can grab some stuff that you most definitely will double and triple in value just off the strength that you'll actually play those players. So, yeah, man, that's really what I think there. I think the Lakers should be calling Minnesota and trying to get a deal with them. And if you're going to give your first-round pick away, get the stuff on the back of their bench that will ultimately bloom. Especially a guy like Josh Minott. Nobody even knows who he is. He's never going to get any minutes on his team, and he really, really can go. So one of the best kept secrets in the league is the Minnesota Timberwolves bench, and that's going to be the conversation for me when we talk about them. It's the epitome of all the things that I complain about in the league. The Minnesota embodies all of that this season and how they're operating. So yeah, that's really what it is, man. I think we'll benefit from it tonight, though. We got to be aware of Naz Reid. You know how Naz is against the Lakers. It kind of goes without saying that you expect for him to go for a career high tonight. I mean, every time he sees us, he just lights up. He may not play well against everybody, but he's definitely going to play well against us each and every night. He might as well be a Denver Nugget. Like, that's really what it is. So he will have a good game tonight. You can probably pencil that in. And, Rudy Gobert, he's been rebounding the ball very well, man. It was a game where he only went 2 for 3 from the field, but you look up and saw like 17 rebounds or 15 rebounds. I don't remember exactly which game that was, but, Rudy Gobert is still, finding ways to be productive on the basketball floor. I don't know that the chemistry is very good this season with him and his teammates, but, they're still trying to find ways. They're coming off a victory, however you slice it, against the Clippers, so they broke that losing streak, and they're not playing their greatest ball right now, but he is getting on the glass, and that's where we need to keep him off of it. It's going to be a matchup. I don't really know if it'll be the most tough matchup we'll see, but as long as Anthony Edwards is on the floor and attacking Julius Randle, those guys' ceiling goes up well high. Jaden McDaniels kind of cooling off right now after having a really, really good stretch over the last 3 weeks. Him cooling off and them losing has kind of coincided, to be honest with you. But I think he could start ramping back up. His 3-ball is falling. He's obviously one of the best defensive players on the planet. And I think as long as he continues to hit shots, he's a incredible threat on that basketball floor, and will create problems for ball handlers all over the league. And so we're no exception. I expect Jaden McDaniels to probably have a better game against us than normal, especially if we don't have our normal guards out there. So, I expect our turnovers to probably be up just off the strength of him being on the floor. He may force 5 turnovers by himself. And like I said, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, on the other hand, is starting to ramp up. His production is starting to kind of go on the upswing as we speak, so I expect for him to play very well tonight. His scoring is starting to come around. His defense is always good. So, these are key players that if you're going to go up against the Minnesota Timberwolves and have some of the turnover issues that we've been having with Bron, this is the type of team that's going to take advantage of that. Most definitely. And with their ability to hit shots with Anthony Edwards and DiVincenzo, Dilly, if they play him, they got some shot makers too. So we got to be careful. Julius Randle obviously attacking Julius. The Sacramento game, one thing that I thought stood out was Sacramento signed Jay Crowder, and I think he got into it with Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder was in his head and kind of took him out of the game a little bit, from what I understand. Didn't watch that game, but I saw the highlights and I saw the commentary on it. A lot of people were mentioning how Jay Crowder and Julius were bickering, and Julius did not play well under those circumstances. It's worth noting that Julius Randle probably isn't all that happy in Minnesota, as we talked about in a video not too long ago. He's going to want to raise his trade value tonight and or play up the value of his free agency, because he's, of course, trying to get a contract. So against the Los Angeles Lakers, a big stage, I'd expect Julius Randle to be very aggressive tonight, for better or for worse. But I do expect a very aggressive Julius Randle. Ex-Laker, of course. So, yeah, man, that's something to pay attention to. But all in all, I think it's a good time to run into Minnesota. For the most part, they're struggling. They're having chemistry issues. Anthony Edwards calling out teammates. Coaching staff refusing to play young guys who are just super talented. It's just a great time to run into them, man. As long as they don't know that they have anything on the back of their bench that could really hurt people, they can keep on running those 7 players they got, and for better or for worse, they'll live and die with them. Foul trouble, whatever happens, maybe you'll see a little more of that bench, but otherwise, he's another Thibodeau, man. And unlike Thibodeau, he has a really good bench. Thibodeau's bench is okay. His bench is ridiculously great, and he's just not utilizing it. So, that's pretty much what it is, man. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be wearing their city jerseys tonight. With their broken glass floor, which is honestly one of my favorite floors of all time. I'm not going to lie to you. Minnesota has outdone themselves with this particular floor. I absolutely love it. So we're going to see the jerseys to match, and we're going to wear our city jerseys tonight, the purples that we haven't seen since the Orlando game. with our alternate floor, we'll be wearing that on the road tonight. I like the jersey selections from both teams for whatever it's worth. And hopefully we can win our second straight game, man. Hopefully we can go a lot better than the last one, though, because I don't think we can win against too many teams if we play the way that we did there. Looking forward to getting people back. Of course, Wood, Vando still out. Jackson Hayes is going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks, so he won't be around. But Quincy Olivari is a game-time decision, which I hope it gets him some minutes since they gave Jalen some minutes last night. If we're missing a bunch of people tonight, there's no reason not to play Quincy tonight. So I would love to see him get some minutes, but I'm not really sure he'll be available. I want to see more Jalen. I am in the minority when it comes to Jalen Hood-Schifino. I'm rooting for him. I want to see him succeed in our uniform. I want to keep him, and I don't think we've given him enough reps to really, or put him in positions to be who he's drafted to be himself, to really know who he is. I think we've seen him struggle, and I think the rope has been very small. So when you have that circumstance with a young player, anytime you put him out there, he might be a little nervous. And I think I've seen enough from him in terms of him utilizing his size defensively. He could be a rim threat at the point guard position, especially against smaller guards. He's quick enough and physical enough to stay with them. I like him on the boards. He had a very strong offensive rebound the last game. Like, these are glimpses. And people are ready to cut bait with him off of a sample size of play that hasn't utilized him or really put him in positions to succeed. And I know better. We drafted him 17th overall, and maybe it's just my ego in place, but I'm not ready to give up on this player without getting a strong sample size of time, seeing him be who it is he's drafted to be. And until we put him in a position to be a point guard with consistent minutes to get used to playing against real talent, I'm not certain that we even know who we have there, and I think people are giving up on him, and I don't think it's all that intelligent when you assess things that way. I just know. I don't think we've seen enough to really know enough. I think we're listening to one another. I think we're expecting people to come in and be great, and I think that that's stupid, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I am in the minority in saying that I want to see Jalen Hood-Schifino get a lot more minutes before we move on from him. A lot more minutes at the point guard position, running the ball up the floor, for which no coach has given him an opportunity to do in the NBA. And I'm telling you, the sample size of what we've seen in the G League from him last season before the back injury tells you that there's a lot of meat on the bone that nobody actually knows is there. And as soon as he gets to his next destination, they're going to take their time with him, and 3 years from now, he's going to be a pretty good starting point guard in this league on both sides of the floor. A rather big one, which is valuable when you consider his size and his playmaking ability. Looking for guys like Anthony Davis, he's going to make people better when people get out of their feelings about him being somebody that they think sucks. He doesn't suck. He just hasn't been given enough reps, enough opportunities to really showcase what it is he can do. And I'm seeing glimpses that tells me not so fast on giving up on him. So I'm telling y'all, I get it. Everybody's seen this. I've seen the same thing everybody else has seen. But consistency provides habits, and habits then provide a showcasing of talent. And if you don't give guys consistent minutes, they're not going to be able to showcase any talent. So we're making a mistake with Jalen. I see that coming. I understand we probably have to trade him because he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season, and there's some restrictions there to where we ain't going to be able to pay him more than $4 million. You can probably get more than that somewhere else if you showcase him the way that I think you can. But just the same, he's a young player that has a bad reputation in terms of his production on the floor, and I think there's a chance you can re-sign him any damn way. Whatever the case may be, I really want to see more Jalen Hood-Schifino. I'm almost certain that he's a lot better than people think. Almost certain. And so that's why I'm telling people, man, this is before we give away the young player that's going to turn into something somewhere else. And those who are saying we don't have the time to develop him, that's not true. If I'm being completely honest with you, we got all the time in the world to develop that kid. Because at the end of the day, he's just one point guard, and we have several guys that we're running at that position. And we're running people like Gabe Vincent. Don't tell me you don't have an opportunity to play this kid. You got plenty of opportunity to play this kid. You got plenty of opportunity to give him consistent minutes, at least 10 a game. You got it. Now people think they don't have it is ridiculous. And saying, we can't afford to keep him, we need to trade him so we can get something for him. He's not worth anything. You're not getting anything for him. Not really. Until you play up his value. So it's like all the excuses people make for not wanting to play Jalen Hood-Schifino and being certain that he sucks, I think all of those people are idiots. And at the end of the day, you just got to give a young player some opportunity. He was drafted as a freshman, meaning he's like 3 years younger than guys like Dalton Knecht and Max Christie. So expecting him to be greater than that, is foolish in and of itself. So I'm down on all of those people who say he sucks. I'm ready to see this kid get some consistent minutes at the point guard position with pick and roll plays run for him. And if we can just continue to coach the kid, I got a feeling he's going to be a lot better than everybody thinks he's going to be. And I'm going to be the guy who said, I told you so. I'm buying Jalen Hood-Schifino stock right now while it's low. Give me all the Jalen Hood-Schifino stock. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Looking forward to this game tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific time. We're going to have to bring our A game because I know Nas Reed most definitely will. If nobody else going to play well, it's going to be Nas. Offensive rebounds and three-point shots, they're going up, man. If you don't put a hand in somebody's face, it's going to be hand down all day long. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Go Lakers, BDL 44. I thank you all for watching. Salute the Kobe Minute, and I'm out.